Nvidia functionally what I'm doing.
Months until I'm customizing my pussy lips. I'm very excited.
For fucking the giggles.
Yo, you ain't getting a candy bar, bitch.
I have one round left. Just enough for myself.
It's a podcast.
Wow.
What up, everyone?
Oh, wow. I'm chugging Red Bull. Wow.
Wow, Red Bull.
Richie's playing a card game. He's not saying anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Look, I said
Wow.
something.
Mentally, he's
Wow.
far gone.
Mentally, he's far gone. I play card games
Yeah.
and are part of the podcast all the time.
What the fuck? I'm here doing a podcast.
Me too, Anthony. Don't worry. I'm not playing games while we record, unlike some people. It's all right, dude.
I mean, at least it's a card game. It's fairly passive. Maybe. No, you were talking about last week how there's active turns and shit, so you're playing on their turn and stuff too.
It's very brain dead.
Yeah, he's not paying
Okay.
attention. Is the real moral of the story? He's
Okay.
just playing a card game and he doesn't give a fuck about the
I hate
podcast.
I don't
you
even
all.
want to hear it. I have been active in the podcast.
Does it matter if I'm playing a game or I'm just jerking off? Because I do that too.
I gotta say,
Yeah, but jerking off requires less of your attention.
Yeah, not
You can
really.
no, it does. You can stroke.
Are you
Can't listen.
saying how I jerk off? Like, do you know?
Do not shit talk someone who also jerks off. Okay, I
Yeah,
know
but
how
you don't
this
know the
works.
way I jerk off, though.
Yeah, I can fathom a guess
I
as
mean,
to how you jerk off.
It's a very intense experience.
And also, how do you know I don't know how you jerk off? You don't know where I am all the time.
Yeah, that's
You looking
true.
in your windows at all fucking moments?
you
Yeah,
got a
well, I
web-
got nice new
You
fancy
got a-
blinds
you got
that
a
can't see
webcam,
through,
don't you?
so-
Yeah.
How
mm,
is there any tape over that webcam? Or
well,
It's
it's not
always
plugged in
watching.
right now.
I don't have a webcam.
That won't save you.
It's not
I'm
plugged in.
all-
that won't save you.
Explanation here.
I'm gonna watch you, fat boy.
That's not possible. um. Yeah. I guess if you found video game news and
Fapping.
our voices sexually exhilarating, I could see someone getting off to this podcast pretty easy.
I disagree.
But
There's nothing sexy about our podcast, Anthony.
we're in it, baby.
And no one's listening to FAP anyway, so it's it's the other problem.
You don't know that. How
Maybe
many
that's
subscribers we have? One of them's got to be
20
fapping while listening to
22.
us.
Of like the 3 people who click on this every week, how many of them are jerking off as they listen?
Maybe
I don't know,
just
leave in the comments
before,
down
just
below if
after.
you jerk off to our podcast.
Oh, did you see the comment on our last video?
No, actually,
It's a very obvious bot comment, just like
Oh.
in Chinese, asking us to pick like 18-year-old sex link.
Fuck, man. You got me excited because I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, man, someone actually commented, and then you're like,
No.
it's sex bot. Fuck.
But I mean that apparently we're attractive to that crowd.
Enough for a sex.
We're not. The
we're-
Chinese sex bot's just skimming the fucking like recent uploads on YouTube, and it just found us and botted itself into our fucking comment section.
For all you Chinese sex bots out there, I'm available. Just saying.
All you gotta do is click the link.
good luck.
That-
Give your computer AIDS.
Yeah,
Godspeed.
I'm talking about for me, not for my computer. My computer doesn't need that shit. It's new.
Click the link.
I'm not clicking the link.
Click the link.
And for those of you listening, go to our last video, episode 36. And if you want to click that link, comment on this one how that turned out.
I'm gonna go right now, not to click the link, but just to see the comment.
It's pretty great.
Wow. Yeah, that's. Wow. Impressive. You should pin that to the video.
I should.
That's our thumbnail.
Oh man. Oh, I should take a screenshot of it before it
You
gets
should.
deleted. Brand,
You
take a
should
screenshot
screenshot that.
on the off
Take a screenshot of
chance.
that and crop it and put it in the fucking thumbnail.
Yeah, will do. You take a screenshot right now, just on the off chance it gets automatically deleted before I get over to it to do it myself.
Oh, I highly doubt it's gonna get deleted.
Um. Anyway, weeks, I guess.
I guess. I mean, unless they just
I
want to hear us
mean-
talk about jerking off and
I
But
mean,
we're not
that's
talking about-
probably part of our weeks.
I
yeah,
assure
that's
you.
a part of my it's a part of my week I neglect to mention every time we record, Rob.
That's a part of my day I neglect to mention.
Uh,
Y'all want to hear about the most exciting part of my week? I fapped like a maniac.
he's a maniac.
Here's the
maniac.
games I played. Here's the shit I watched, and then I just fucking cranked it like
Here's the
27
porn
times.
I watched.
Here's the link.
Uh,
Speaking of, is anyone else really pissed at Pornhub?
For what?
For what?
They like deleted like 90% of their videos.
Wasn't that a while
What?
ago?
Yeah.
that was quite a bit ago.
What do you mean they deleted 90% of their videos?
They got rid of all unverified content.
Which is like 90% of their
Oh,
videos.
wow.
That being said, there is plenty of material.
of
Granted.
course there.
Richie's like, I checked. It's
I'm not
very-
saying that there's not, but there was some. Now, how am I going to watch my Minecraft videos on Pornhub?
True. That is true. How are we going to upload the podcast to Pornhub?
for extra views. Like, come on.
Frankly, we should have been doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
So you
Well,
just
now we
upload
can't.
anything to Pornhub. If I go make a Pornhub account right now and I upload it and like just some random fucking video, which will obviously be unverified when it completes the upload process, you're telling me it'll just get instantly deleted?
Well, not instantly.
I don't know
Right
Pornhub
now.
about
actually has a
instantly, but it will get cleaned
a
up.
very good fucking team that goes through the verification process.
Damn, dude.
They have a better team than Twitch and YouTube, apparently.
Well, I mean, that's not hard.
I mean, it's easy once you lock down your content like that. Because it's
Also,
like,
yes, that's a very blanket thing to go through. Like, that's not hard to do. Oh, it's unverified? Okay.
delete, mark for deletion.
It's very simple. Still, it's very saddening. We should just upload the podcast to Pornhub anyway, see what happens.
Time.
Can we get verified on Pornhub?
I don't know
Probably.
what that process entails.
It's gotta
But-
be.
I
Possible.
could verify that I am myself, so I mean that's not.
I'm not joking. You should legitimately make an account on Pornhub and start uploading this podcast to Pornhub. Every view counts.
No, but I mean with what they just did, we can't work with we gotta go to somewhere a little less reputable. We gotta go to like
Videos?
X Hamster or something.
Oh yes.
No, they
Glorious
purge
X
content
Hamster.
too.
Glorious X Hamster.
They've purged their content too. Don't worry.
Aw.
Wow, really? Why are you
Yep.
so knowledgeable on this?
I'm
On all these
in a long
websites?
distance relationship,
Wow.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Richie, once again.
I'm in a
likes to put out-
non-existent relationship and I still don't know this shit.
That is weird. Isn't that weird?
What?
No, just that it's a porn website. You think they wouldn't care?
Well, that's because like they're getting
Wow.
threatened to be shut down because of child trafficking and
Yeah,
all that
I had
stuff.
read. I didn't know about the unverified stuff being deleted. I think I saw an article or something that said that they got rid of like their download option on videos and shit like that
That makes sense.
for a similar reason, because anybody could just upload anything, including stuff that's not strictly legal, and then people could download it. So I mean, it's kind of one and the same. Anyway, point is, upload the podcast to Pornhub. You know, get us verified.
Like let's
Find
not,
other
let's
websites.
not put our podcast on anything that actually like hosts podcasts. Let's get on Pornhub.
Yeah,
That's
well,
our-
clearly we're not putting it on anything that actually hosts podcasts.
I'm
So let's
lazy. I got stuff to do. I'm sorry.
right. Well, you know, just saying. So if we're not gonna do it, we might as well just go on Pornhub.
But now we can't.
Every view counts.
That's
True.
true.
If you would like us to go to Pornhub, leave a comment down below.
Yeah.
No one's gonna comment, except for a Chinese sex bot. That's the only thing that's gonna comment. Clearly, that's not our first bot comment.
No, I mean we've gotten a bunch of bot comments. It's just the most interesting and latest one.
Remember, we had a bot comment on like a fairly early episode of the podcast, and I was like, "Holy shit, someone's commenting on our thing!" And it was like a way more subtle bot. It wasn't like a Chinese sex bot. And then I clicked on his account, and he had like no videos, and he was clearly modeled to look like he was a channel belonging to a bigger YouTuber, and he was like hosting playlists of a bigger YouTuber on the bot account,
But
which
it
was very
actually had
strange.
no videos.
Yeah.
That stuff is always so weird to me. Which you go to these channels and it's just like playlists.
Was the Chinese sex bot of any playlist? I'm afraid to go to its fucking channel.
Don't click it. Don't click anything.
No,
I'm gonna go to
dude,
the channel.
that's computer aids.
I'm going to its channel.
Oh no.
Michael Ojo. No videos, no playlist.
Oh, it's literally just a post bot.
Yep.
How boring.
Click the link.
Don't click the link.
Click the link.
I'll start with my week because it's really fast. It was, I played MechWarrior Online. They're having an event to get a Mad Cat Mark II. And I already have a Mad Cat Mark II, but I could sell it for mad game bucks and buy something else or pour it into my other mech, so I've been spending a lot of time on that. I love that game. I watched another episode of Invincible because it releases every Friday, so that's how
I want to
spend my
watch it so
Fridays.
bad. I just haven't
Dude.
done it.
Dude, it's very, very good.
That's good to hear because I wanted it to be good. I'm glad.
And again, it's very well balanced because yeah, there's serious moments, there's intrigue, there's humor, there's a lot of levity, and again, none of it really feels ham-fisted. All of it just feels good. This is a good show. It's well written and worth watching. I watched The Big Short again. I love that movie. That movie's great. Go watch it. Nothing else to say about that. It's about the housing market collapse and like the few people who saw it coming and stuff like that. And I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. That's literally all I did.
Damn, son.
It's quick.
What a week.
I'm equally as quick, sort of. I played a lot of Legends of Runeterra. It's my new kind of addiction
In fact,
a way.
he's playing it right now.
Yeah, it's up right now, and
I mentioned to him briefly last night when I spoke to him because he was supposed to play Hunt Showdown with me and BB, but then realized he didn't have it installed, so he didn't play it with us. But I mentioned to him briefly that I'm horrified at the possibility of his Legend of Runeterra addiction spiraling into turning League of Legends back on and playing that game
Alright, I
at
have
some point.
2 comments to that. One, I still prefer Dota.
Which is a hole I will not follow
Yeah.
you down, by
Well,
the way.
it's one I didn't think you were going to. If
I know,
it was
just
to happen.
saying.
One, I would still prefer Dota, and would like to play Dota. I got to try Swamp Tarkov, but you know, Dota's still a thing. They just got that big update. I still want to play it. And then point 2. I mean, 3 points actually. Point 2. Even if I did play it again, like I could play both. I started with League. I have
See,
a
the way he talks about it scares me more
Yeah.
because he's not saying,
I
"No,
have-
Brandon, don't worry.
I
I'm
have
not
a
gonna play
copious
League."
amount
He's
of
already
money
on.
spent in
He's
League.
already on bartering.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
It's coming.
point 3, even if I did play it again, Dota's better. And I'll stick to that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't have a jonesing to play League of Legends. I am playing this card game though because this card game fits the fucking like niche that I need in my life, which is brain dead instant gratification.
Well, hopefully we'll be playing card games together in real life in the not so distant future.
Like honestly, realistically, if things go right, I mean, I would say we might be able to see each other like in person in the next like month or so.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh, speaking about in the next month or so, I I've I forgot to mention this in my week. I started to put into motion buying a house. So,
Oh.
What?
Oh
uh,
shit!
but it's not. Uh, I obviously because my life fell apart not too long ago. I got turned down for the loan for now, but the mortgage guy is like still willing to work with me. He's like, all right, you need at least this many more months working, and then I'll see what I can get you. And I'm actually friends with two real estate agents, and they're already like, yeah, we'll find you whatever fits that budget as cheap as we can get and where you want it. So it's in motion. I
Cool
have a
beans.
Well,
money
damn,
guy.
damn,
I
son.
have a money guy, and I have two headhunters working for me. So that's cool.
That's a big step.
Yeah.
He's a big man, baby.
So maybe when we get together,
Sometimes,
it'll be
sometimes
in
I have
my
to remind
house.
myself that you are already past that point, but like we're approaching 30. Like,
I don't want to talk about the number, please.
That's that.
What a big boy aside.
well, damn. All right, back to my week of not being a productive adult. Uh, which I guess isn't honestly fair to say because I'm in school,
Yeah,
but
you're doing fine. You'll do better than me in no time.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing Legends of Runeterra. I've said to people, Rob has seen it. I'm having a lot of fun coming up with deck names. Make funny ones. Besides that, video game wise, I've been wanting to play Swamp Tarkov. Haven't turned it on yet. Was going to, and then realized that didn't. I had the test server installed, not the actual game.
Nice.
Yeah, I turned on the game and I was like, yeah, time to play. My version of the game is different than the actual version. I was like, what? And looked and was like, oh, this is the test server. And besides that, I'm playing a bit of the Isle again, my Dino game that I follow.
Wow.
Yeah, and the reason for that is they just put out the like beta test for their third update, which is really fucking cool and really intense because it adds uh Dino, Sucus, and Pterodon, which are aquatic and flying creatures now.
Ooh.
And it's completely new mechanics and obviously new creatures, and it is fun. These things are very fun. I played both of them. The Pterodon's cool because of the flying. The flying is very smooth. I like it. Um, and same with the swimming. They did a real good job of doing like mechanics that look good and feel good. And I'm very excited. And hopefully that will be out of bug testing and all that. And they said in the next like week or so. And the game progresses onward. It's been in development a while, but it is progressing, and I
At
am
a
excited.
snail face, though.
Yes, but it is exciting.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you'll get 1.0 in like 10 years. It's coming.
Like
Cannibals in 2030.
I don't want to like undersell that like what this like developer like the size they are and like what they're doing like they're mechanics and like how they look and feel, like the game is very well put together and everything looks good. I think that's a major accomplishment for a developer like them.
Well, I would say that was a big update, the one they just did, adding like an aquatic skeleton animations and flying skeleton animations. Like that's a big deal that they can now reverse engineer into different dinosaurs. So good for
I just
them.
feel like that
Yeah.
game is being developed so fucking slowly that it's kind of insane. Like you can be like, oh, it's because the team's small, but I've seen some really small teams do some pretty
Yeah,
fucking
I
incredible
mean
stuff.
they've also like remade the game too.
Yes, I remember you talking about that. I still think they're going at a fucking like incredibly slow pace. I remember when you first told me about this game, and it's like, I don't know, man. Every once in a while you bring up an update, but it feels like it's fucking like twice a year or something, and it's just not moving that quick
But when it does, we'll be cannibals.
by 2030.
Downhill, be cannibals.
Next,
Was that his week? I didn't
Oh,
hear. I didn't hear it. He was done.
yeah, no, I was just
I was
thinking.
lingering.
So yeah, besides that, that's all I did. I was a piece of shit. So
I'll go. I played a little bit more of Spyro, the Reignited trilogy. I've been playing the first one, the one I never really played as a kid. I really only played three, so it was interesting to play a different game. It's the graphics are beautiful. I love the remastered version of the game. I also played Legends of Runeterra. I played against Rich. Um, he doesn't like my burn decks at all. He does not like burn, not at all.
it's. I mean, I'm still kind of like getting used to the game, but yeah, some of the aggro decks in that game are just very fast, like really fucking fast. Like turn 3, I have fucking 8 health from my 20, and it's like cool. I have 2 creatures out, and you have 6.
Rush deck,
it reminds me of Magic.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some decks like that in Magic.
Yeah, there's something like about this game that Magic doesn't do to the extent, and I think cards in this game are curved way too hard. They are really, 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 really good for their cost.
I would argue that that was becoming the case when we stopped playing Magic, and is certainly the case for Magic now.
But that crept into Magic over time.
I mean, like even in Magic, there are cards that are good for their cost, but like if you were to look at the cards in this game, like in all the collection, it's like there are cards that are just way too good for their cost. And I think that's prevalent through this game and maybe a problem, but I guess it's not a problem if every deck, every card is good. But who knows?
Otherwise, I played a little bit of Magic Legends, which I believe I had talked about a bit on the podcast last time. Or I had bullshit about when Brendan was away.
I was gonna say I don't remember you talking about that. It was probably because I wasn't.
It was I am up to level 16 in my Beastmaster class, and otherwise I didn't really do much. I did adult things,
Big adult stuff.
yeah, big adult stuff.
This is
That
the
was it.
adult weekend. The adult
Uh,
week.
not mine.
I mean, same. But
Is that your week, sir?
That was my week.
Cool. I didn't do a lot either. I played more Hunt. I'm enjoying Hunt quite a bit. Opinion hasn't really changed on Hunt. I been working on stuff for the last week more than I've really been playing video games, to be honest.
Nice.
Um, I'm hoping that by the time we're recording next week, I might have a track done, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. If I'm gonna put it anywhere. I might send it to you just to see if you want to replace the intro with it or not. I do think it's a generally better made thing than what you're using currently for the podcast, but I don't know if you'll be able to cut it in a way that you think works.
Oh, I could just give it to me. I'll mess around with it.
Um,
I guess I should mention that we finally got all the new art for our characters done. Everybody's got a new
all of it.
updated character. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
I just
Are we gonna see it, or are you just gonna put it in the podcast?
I should probably put it in the Discord. I'll put it in the Discord.
Okay.
I
I was actually meaning to, but I forgot.
have to say mine is I like mine.
I could do that right now. Should I hold on the rest of my week? Do I want to
No,
get
I
a
mean, you
live
could keep
reaction
going.
or
Yeah, sure.
fucking?
You could do both.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Smoking a pipe?
Of course.
Wow, very edgy. Very fucking edgy.
Oh, I love yours, Rich.
I think my favorite part of it is the combination of axe, flannel, a like branch, and the sideways down the eye Naruto headband.
Yeah,
Naruto head.
exactly.
Oh,
That was
God.
honestly, like, not to hijack your week or anything. That was a part where I was like, I went to Richie and I asked for stuff, and the second I went to like my artist friend, we were like, how the fuck do we make this all work? And there was like a good 20 minutes when we weren't even drawing anything or getting examples, and we were just like, how the fuck are we gonna make this look okay?
That turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
If you look closely, the symbol on the headband is the logo for the cast.
Oh, wow. Yeah, look at
He's part of the Camel clan.
that.
Village in
Fucking-
the Camels.
I both love and hate that Naruto is tied to your fucking picture. Fucking Naruto.
No other way.
Oh, God.
I do have to say it's not a complaint because I love it, but my legs look fucking huge compared to the rest
Yeah,
of my body.
you're a thick bitch in the
It's-
leg vicinity.
it's
You almost look
power
like you have cyborg legs.
Yeah, like I'm on stilts. Like that's kind
Yeah.
of what it looks like, but it's fine.
I do like it, though.
It's like check it though.
The tree is a
actually
nice touch,
now
I'm
changed.
assuming.
I changed my mind. I love it because it pseudo implies I'm in like a little like baby carrier, and I played Grey Knights, so
Yeah.
it's my Dread Knight fucking power armor.
There
Oh,
you go.
no, now I hate it. If your friend listens to this, tell him that that's easily the shittiest one of the four. Rather, if he listens to it, he'll just hear me say it. That one's absolutely horrendous. I hate the Dread Knight inspiration. 0 out of 10.
Wow, 0 out of 10, man.
Yep, 0 out of
Damn.
10.
How many thumbs?
2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs. Wow,
Baby
Damn.
carrier plus Naruto, 2 thumbs down.
it's fucking savage. I liked yours.
Yeah, well, it can't all be winners, you know?
I
Fucking
like that I just
Naruto.
have a horde of D&D books, and my staff has a D20 in it.
God, that being said,
I didn't notice that, actually.
holy fuck, is yours
little-
edgy, Brandon?
The little detail. I just said Cyborg Ninja, and then Anthony, I guess, told him do a guitar thing. So he did, and then he made it. I'm assuming that's what that is, right? Yeah, that's what it appears to. But then he also made it into like the sheath. Did he like intentionally like what is it? Is it supposed to be like a shuriken body or something like that? Or
Yeah.
did you tell him like make it look like the bottom half of a warlock? Like what was the inspiration with that?
Honestly, I didn't imply anything for him with that. We were going for guitar sheath, and then he gave it that like giant shuriken shape for it.
It's cool. I like it. Well, I mean, I told you to tell. I don't know if you did or not, but when you sent me this originally, I told you to tell him that I like it a lot.
Mhm.
It's impressive. I think they're all really nice. When you said he was making, I mean, like I had nothing to go on with your artist friend in terms of like what he made previously. I wasn't really expecting stuff that looked this nice, to be honest.
Thank you.
So it's quite
I will
good.
pass it
So
on to him.
if he's listening, big ups. If he's not, tell him I said big ups.
To everyone else, look up Commander Monday, and he does really cool shit.
It's very nice.
I do. Anthony mentioned this to me, and I do have to say, like, I notice it now. Like, Anthony's Robot Man, you're Cyborg Ninja. I'm like Baby Carry Power Armor, and Rob's just Lizard Dude.
It's true. He's the only one that has no like tech stuff going on.
It's whatever.
But that
You
kind
know
of
what?
plays into our characters, though, because Rob's more into the fantasy shit, while we're
That's
more
true.
into the sci-fi.
You know what Rob's reminds me of, and I think Anthony will be the only one that gets this. Rob's reminds me of the dude from Guilty Gear,
Ah,
the
yeah,
dragon guy with the
yeah.
glasses. I can't remember his name, but that's what he reminds me of. He was from the MOBA game or
Yeah,
whatever,
the
and he's
weird
in,
MOBA one, yeah.
yeah, and he's in
Dr.
Exurge's story.
Paragrim or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of when I first looked at it. But like I said, they're all very nice. I give them big ups. Very impressive. Anyway, the rest of my week, I had one last thing to talk about, which was that I began my playthrough of Resident Evil 7 in preparation for RE8.
Nice.
Um,
You should upload our footage from Resident Evil 7. Just a
I,
camel.
yeah,
Just a
it would abruptly stop like 6 episodes in.
That's fine. Our
Um,
entire channel abruptly stopped 0 episodes in, so.
no, 0 episodes. Um, yeah, I guess for context, because I don't think I've ever talked about this on the podcast before, I should explain that I have a bit of an issue with single player games. I'd say within the last like 5 years or so, where I do this thing where a game comes out and I'm super hype about it and I'm very excited. And I play it for like, I don't know, a few days or something like that. And I put a lot of time into it and I'm super invested. And then something happens and my drive to play it and my attention gets sucked away by something else. Usually some like multiplayer shit that someone asks me to play, and then I just don't come back to the game in question. And I have a long laundry list of fucking games that in hopefully the near future I intend to go back to because that happened with those games. Like Nier Automata is on that list. Um, and RE7 is on that list where I started playing it. I put like 5 or 6 hours into it. I got like maybe halfway through the game or something like that, and then I just stopped because I think like I don't know what the fuck took me away from it. It might have been like Overwatch or some shit like that, but I just never came back. So believe it or not, a small shame of mine is that I've successfully kind of dodged spoilers for the last 4 years
Nice.
regarding like the last half of Resident Evil 7. So I didn't know anything about it. Um, and I have to play it before RE8 comes out. So as of the last time I played, I'm pretty much caught up to where I was when I had stopped, and now I just have to finish it. And I'm enjoying it. Like I know it's like an extremely late, and I'm also not done with it yet, so I can't give like a fucking lasting opinion on it. But of what I have just re-experienced of RE7, that game is really fucking good, man. It's a very good fucking video game. It looks pretty incredible in 4K. Like it holds up, even though it came out in 2017. Um, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And maybe hopefully by the time we record next week, I'll be done with it, so I can give a fucking 4 years late Brandon's Scale of Thumbs review on RE7. And then I'll be all fucking ready to go for Resident Evil 8, which I pre-ordered a couple days ago. And I'm very excited. And that was pretty much my week.
Nice. And with that, we could get into the news. And the first news is a mix of things. I'll start with the one that's the story because I could just knock that out, and then the thing that kind of plays off of it, which is Japanese Apex players are being unfairly banned because um, just in case the YouTube algorithm also picks it up, Japanese to say "run away" in
Sounds like the
Japanese,
N-word. It sounds a lot like
it
the N-word.
it sounds and looks
Oh,
very
yeah, I heard that.
similar to the N word, and it's getting players banned. Which is really weird because all the example pictures, it's not like they're typing it out in English. It's still in kanji. So,
Well, like you and me had spoken about this when we finished recording last week, and I was asking some questions like, how are they getting banned for it? Like, is there a system that's just picking up on the fact that they're using in-game voice and saying this, or are they typing it
well, I see
in-game?
text, so I'm gonna imagine that it's typed, but even then, it's the chats only go through team, and the team also being Japanese or at least knowing the language would be seeing that word and knowing its connotation. So it has to be like automatically flagged, but being
Yeah.
automatically flagged incorrectly.
So yeah, the end of the article kind of specifies it and says that the chat filter is likely automatically set to mark an account as an offender for having said anything similar sounding to a slur, which does bring up the question of, but if they're typing it in kanji, then how is the filter even picking up on that at all and then banning them? It's very strange. It's also hilarious.
Which brings us to the related story, which is Intel's new Bleep software, which is already being memed on very heavily because you could set N words to maximum and things like that. So there's a lot of like joke zoom ins and things of that nature. But basically, it's a software that it's third party software, runs in the background, and it detects things, and depending on how you set the settings, it'll beep it out. I mean, it's a little bit or a lot of it, but what interests me about it, because I think words are words, and people are putting too much onus on them. So I'm very, but this is opt-in, so I'm pretty indifferent to negative to a software like this. But I still find it extremely interesting because of just even the categories of what they're claiming for it to do. So, ableism, body shaming, easy. Is someone calling someone fat or something like that? Easy, piece of cake. I could see an AI picking up that. LGBTQ hate, again, easy. There's certain words, fine. Swearing, fine. Racism, xenophobia, N words, name calling, all of that I understand. But there's one is aggression, and it's worded as negative language intended to wound the recipient. And it's things like that. And again, it's a scaling thing where it's like if that's set on like all, it's how would it be able to pick between like constructive criticism? How would it be able to pick up on, you know, actual like malicious but like very disguised attempt? Will this constantly be updated? And then since this is third-party software, I spoke about it a little bit with Brandon, and the idea popped in my head. Would this censor in-game stuff too? Like if there's a protagonist who uses like, filthy language or something of that nature, like would
It's
it
possible.
differentiate?
I
And
had brought up the application that like if that is the case, this could be used as a tool for parents to just like run on their
mm,
kids' computers, and then they can play like an M-rated game, but it'll just censor out all the filthy language for them
Hmm.
on the fly. I also have maybe a bit of a skewed opinion of this because I don't care about it. To be frank, um, I read the article, but I didn't look at the comment section for this article, and it's actually kind of disgusting. The amount of people who are like, "Oh, it's just the N-word, bro. It's fine." Like fucking Intel babies, and then like those people are getting upvoted massively, and the people who are like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," are getting downvoted massively, and I'm like, I hate all of you.
It's
But
gamers, bro.
um, besides those people who I hate, um, I don't mind this because I wouldn't use this, but it's not something I give a shit about the fact I don't care that this exists because I view it as kind of like an intermediate like a kind of a halfway point in terms of options between just hearing everything someone says and or on the flip side doing what I do when I play something like Apex solo, which is that when you launch Apex Legends and you go into a solo game and in squads because there is no solo mode, so I have to be matched with two people. There's a beautiful option when you pick a hero that just says hit F to mute all squad mates like instantly before you even get in the game. So just in case they're toxic dickheads, and because Apex has a really strong ping system, I technically don't need to hear anything anybody has to say to me. Sometimes I'll just hit that because I'm using my speakers instead of my headphones or whatever, and I just don't feel like having these people come over my fucking sound system loudly. This is a nice like option where if you don't want to do that, but you also want to like maybe sidestep the possibility of being match made rather with like a toxic douchebag to just like run this if you actually care about that and setting it up to your fucking preferences.
It's
Like I said, I
interesting.
wouldn't use it, but I can see the applications for it.
It's interesting, but I can see where it can go wrong.
You know what? You know, it's another thing that I thought
Can it go
of.
wrong though when you opt into it? You turn it
Well,
off
yeah,
and
because
on,
then
like
you gotta keep finicky with it, so it could interfere with a few matches before you get it, air quotes, right. There is another thing that I thought of is that this is an Intel technology, and it's clearly using Intel processors or processing power to be able to run this kind of monitoring software, and it makes me think of things like DLSX and all this type of stuff. How will it impact performance?
yeah.
That could be interesting to see.
Probably not at all if your CPU is strong enough.
Does
But
this lead to a new era of trolling where people just stream obscenities to make other people's computers crash?
maybe you would never. I don't know how you'd know someone's running it, but yeah,
If they
if you can
start
figure out,
micro stuttering whenever you drop an N word, then you go, "Oh,
yeah,
I have a victim."
you fucking spam N bombs until they fucking judder and then crash out.
Oh, you're running a laptop? Well,
I'll be interested. Here's something I thought of that I'd kind of be interested to see in the future is if this gets implemented into games without having to run the third-party software, where it could be something like what Nvidia's been doing recently with like their low latency tech in games, just having it be an option in options for video games, like Apex has it now and shit like that. I could see this being something that if Intel can get it to that point where like a game developer could just integrate it into the game and you just go into the options and you just toggle it on and then like set preferences in the game without having to like run this in the background, you know? I wonder if that will be the case.
I think something like this is the best. Even though it's words. I think it's kind of the best solution for all this time. It always
Anthony, I don't
bothered
want to
me.
hear a 12-year-old scream the N-word
No,
at
no,
me
no. I
like
get you. I get
57
you.
fucking
It's
times, and I've experienced enough toxicity in many of the games that I frequent to know that when I launch Apex to just hit the mute my squad button.
no, but what
So
I'm trying to get at is actually a positive for this. So I assure you. Let me finish. Is whenever you start a
I'm
game,
just
you get a tutorial and there's an ESRB rating for the game. And for online and an online interaction, no one has ever had a briefing of, hey, guess what? There's gonna be some crazy shit incoming. And even ESRB, the best they could do is it's not rated for online content, or it may be different than the rated box content. And this is like the only thing that has come out in years, which is crazy to think of because this is a niche that needed to be filled forever now. Of like, finally something that could just be like, okay, I got this teen rated game for my teenager. Now I know it'll just be a teen rated game for my teenager, and I
If you're
don't have to.
running, if you're running this software, here's a question, right? I've been known from time to time when playing something like Escape from Tarkov, perhaps, to drop someone who's very geared with a nicely placed head eyes on like a scav. And when I do so, I'll scream into my mic, he's fat. He's fat.
Mm.
Will I get censored by the software if you put the body shaming thing on?
On maximum, probably.
Because I'm screaming, he's fat. He's fat. As
Yeah,
I rush to his
probably.
corpse.
On maximum, at least. And that's again, that's going to be a balancing act for users, for the AI itself. Again, I have no idea how it's supposed to pick up aggression besides like tonally, which even that's kind of crazy to think that we can have an AI that can pick out when you're being a smarmy
It
asshole
just
instead of
it
an
needs
overt asshole.
toxic people just have to be toxic with a less harsh tone of voice, right? Like if you're fairly certain someone's running this, just be like, "Hey man, go fuck yourself. I hate you.
Yeah.
You fucking prick.
This is you left,
Yeah,
and you're gonna die.
you're a fucking asshole. Stop feeding. Wow.
Man, I hope
Wow.
I grow up to be such a useless piece of shit like you.
Wow.
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 Well, I should get this software and run it when I talk to the goblin
Oh my god.
who did it too. That'd be pretty incredible. It's a joke no one's gonna understand. It would be useful though. Come in handy.
Okay. Next story is Netflix gets exclusive streaming rights to Sony films like Uncharted and more.
Yep. A sign of pandemic related streaming service deals that are remaining for the near future. Because who knows what the fuck's going on in terms of people returning to theaters anytime soon. But Sony clearly isn't placing much stock in that because now they're going to air all their shit. I believe the deal is specifically that within like I had read the article at the time. I think it's like within a 6 month period or something like that. Netflix can air any of Sony's movies from the date that they would be in theaters. So if you want to watch Uncharted, it might be on Netflix or anything that Sony's going to put out. I believe this also affects Venom 2, they said.
Hmm.
So there's a very high likelihood that much like the HBO Max deal with Warner Brothers, that all those movies, by all those, I mean those two and whatever other dog shit Sony's going to put out, because Sony doesn't put out great movies usually, except for maybe the two that I just spoke about. Maybe coming to Netflix like immediately on their fucking theater release date, potentially. Which is kind of cool. I'm excited that if this shit is still going on, that I get to watch Venom 2 on the day that it fucking releases, potentially, unless they really like draw it out and use that 6 month grace period to its max.
It's definitely interesting. Because yeah, all these other people, they got HBO or all the other things. So when it comes to something like Sony, they don't have their own kind of streaming thing, and in fact, they killed it on the PlayStation Store. So it's like, I guess Netflix is the one that won that contract.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's much longer than a 6 month window. It's actually within an 18-month window, but I have to assume that they're not gonna wait 18 months to put these movies on Netflix. Like this deal strikes me as the kind of thing where they have a window to do it. They're not gonna use the full fucking 18 months before they put this shit up. Especially if we're still in the pandemic shithole. I imagine what they're attempting to do is mirror the HBO Max deal. But who knows? I hope Venom 2 doesn't suck.
I hope so as well. I really like Venom.
Venom was okay. I wouldn't give it 2 thumbs up, but it was alright. It wasn't a terrible movie. It wasn't as good as your average MCU movie. But most like Sony property movies that have no MCU involvement usually go that way. Did that fucking this is gonna sound wildly out of touch. I really didn't keep up with it. Did that fucking Morbius movie ever come out, or did they just put that trailer out?
Just the trailer.
Okay, was that like a pandemic casualty or what? Like what
I
was
don't
up
know.
with that?
I don't think we know anything about it except that the trailer is out.
Okay. God, I wonder if all this weird Sony Spider-Verse shit is like what I. This is wildly off topic, but like, what the fuck is the plan with these movies, man? Are they hoping for like an
Avengers.
MCU deal,
Yeah,
like
that's
with
the
their
plan.
Spider-Man
That's
thing?
the plan. Everyone is chasing that Avengers money bag, but they don't have it nearly as planned out. So
No,
it's
that's not what I mean. What I mean is like, so Sony's like worked with the Feig and Disney to get Spider-Man into the MCU, right? So
mm,
are they making these Spider-Verse movies with hope that they will also converge with the MCU, or is this like a backup plan where it's like, all right, when Spider-Man's no longer in the MCU, we'll make these movies at the same time that the MCU hype train is in full effect so they get people's attention, maybe like stupid people who don't realize that this has nothing to do with the MCU. And then when Spider-Man's out of it, we'll make our own Spider-Man movies again that use these characters from their
that's
solo movies. You know what I mean?
that's probably the best idea.
That's
Or
probably what's
or
going on.
even if it's like a more long game, like I don't know what the Avengers plan are, but I mean, there's apparently some deal to just get Spider-Man into those movies. So even if they put out other movies in the same, under like Spider-Man's IP, Doc Ock, Osborn, all this stuff, maybe they can make that attractive enough, then they could get deals for that character to pop up
Right.
in
That
MCU
was
stuff.
yeah. That was my first thought that I mentioned, but like I legit maybe it's cynical of me, but I honestly think that what they're doing is they're just like let's get stupid people who don't understand how this shit is licensed and how this is working to believe that these are like MCU movies even though they're not, and we'll sell tickets off that alone, and then when Tom Holland Spider-Man is no longer part of the MCU, we'll do our own Spider-Man movies again that use like Jared Leto Morbius and like Tom Hardy Venom and shit like that. Just capitalize on like the success that they get by like running the Spider-Verse villain movies at the same time as the MCU, you know what I mean?
Mm.
I think that's probably what's going on. Which is unfortunate because the Venom movie may have been 50 Shades of okay whilst having some stuff about it that was pretty cool. I like Tom Hardy as Venom, and I would like to see him in a movie with Tom Holland Spider-Man,
Absolutely.
but it's probably not going to happen, and that makes me sad. Anyway, that was a nice little tangent coming off the Sony news.
No, that was
Yeah.
a good one. Speaking of Sony news, um, Bloomberg put out a hell of a story.
Yeah,
Uh,
I skimmed through this when you were like, no, but read this though.
mhm.
And yeah, some of it was pretty impressive. I didn't read it super in depth, but I mean, take it away. It was pretty not that shocking to be honest, but like a great example of corporate douchebaggery and chasing
Yeah,
them bucks.
I gotta say, we touched on it last podcast, but it's like it seems like Sony's head got massive, and they're acting like the Microsoft did last generation, or like early Xbox One launch, where it's just I don't know how anyone could get into their head that this is a good idea. So like the
I mean, like
main
I said, I have opinions on it, but I'll let you explain it.
yeah, the main crux of this is that Sony execs come down and they go, "We're remaking The Last of Us." Which is insane because that game is not that old and still holds up like visually and gameplay wise, and it's primarily narrative focused too, so that's like timeless. Like there's no reason to do that. This is after killing like PS3 support and stuff, and it's making a lot of devs butt hurt because it's like the guys who did Days Gone, which apparently Days Gone was a success, they they pitched like, "Hey, let's make a sequel. We're really behind this," and they were just like, "No, you should work for like Naughty Dog instead to work on things like The Last of Us remastered." And people quit over it. Like, and apparently a lot of other studios are feeling the pressures. They're focusing on these like big kind of blockbustery games, and they're saying no to a lot of projects if they aren't like remakes or can be done extremely cheaply. So it's an uneasy corporate standing currently, and it's kind of shocking to, I don't know. Like you think the second any dev quits over something like that, and that like you have other IPs, like Days Gone was one of these blockbusters, and it apparently made enough, but then to just be like, no, we have to make, these super tight bombastic experiences. It's way too tunnel visiony, I think.
The reason why I say this isn't shocking is because this is I think we even brought this up recently. Like I don't remember if it was last week or before that, but it was very recently where I mentioned I don't remember what the fuck we were talking about, but we were talking about something regarding like how companies see success and failure when it comes to sales. And I
Mhm.
think I used the example of God, was it the original Tomb Raider reboot, I think, when that came out and or maybe it was Human Rev. I don't remember. It was one of those. And it came out and Square went on record being like sales were disappointing. But if you look at the numbers, it actually made an absolute shitload of money.
Yeah.
It's just that their sales expectation for it was so absurdly high that to them it was a failure. Which is why I say that this article isn't. It's depressing, but it's not shocking that to me that like a company like Sony would have this mindset of like, fuck games like Days Gone, fuck putting money into anything that's even remotely like a smaller in scope exclusive for the console. Fuck that noise. We're all in on the money train of like Last of Us, Uncharted, and like maybe God of War. You know what I mean? Like it's depressing that that's what's going on, but when you really think about how like everything we know about how game development works internally, especially over like the last decade, it's not shocking to like read about this story. I can see a suit at Sony being like, "Fuck a Days Gone sequel. That didn't make us Last of Us bucks. Go over here and work on the fucking Last of Us remake, pleb. That's where the money is."
I don't know if there's even money there though, honestly, because
Last of
it's
Us remake
just
100%. It's gonna sell like hotcakes. You fucking kidding me?
it's so soon though.
It is, but it's gonna sell. Like you know that. You know, search your heart. You know it to be true.
I don't want to live in that reality, Brandon.
You
I
know it to be true.
I it
It's
shouldn't
gonna
be
sell a
though. It
lot.
shouldn't be.
You want to be really
Ah,
depressed? I just googled it just to see. The Last of Us came out almost a decade ago.
Wow.
yeah, that's fine.
I'm not like using that as justification for a remake because I agree with you that that game doesn't need to be remade, but still,
Because
like
it was
it's
like super beautiful when it came out, and while we've gotten quite a bit further with things like ray tracing and stuff of that nature, that's not like needed. It's a nice thing to have. Well, I don't know. I'm the anti-remake in general guy, so I'm definitely not the person to bring with this. but it's like,
I mean,
Christ.
I'm all for remakes when they make sense. Like I think being anti-remake is not to shit talk your opinion, but I think it's a little nearsighted and kind of shitty because if we didn't get remakes, we wouldn't get the fucking amazing video game that is like Resident Evil 2 remake, which is phenomenal. So like a remake makes sense for me.
I'm for remakes.
Remakes, here's the thing, remakes make sense. What I was gonna say is they make sense when we're talking about something like RE2. The game is ancient. It came out on fucking PS1 like 2 decades ago. I mean, the game is fucking. Oh, not. Yeah, no, yeah, probably like over 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, I
Original
would say.
RE2 came out, something like that. So, because it must have been 90s, right?
Hmm.
Was it 90s? Hold on, I gotta look this up.
It also like brings like new life to the game. It exposes it to a newer audience.
See, I don't know about that because like The Last of Us 2
1998. God
just came
damn,
out, you know?
I am ancient. Fuck, that hurts my penis
Like you could introduce
real bad.
By the way, why
people
does that hurt your penis?
Right in my penis, Rob. Just shooting pain
with a
Why?
with a
up the
sequel
veins.
with a sequel just as well as you can with a remake, you know?
Debatable. I think the remake might do it better.
Yeah, I would agree that that's debatable. I think introducing like once again to use the best example of a remake uh, for I can't think of a better example, to be honest, than Resident Evil 2 remake. Like that game introduces people who never would have experienced the story of Resident Evil 2 other than like wiki diving. They get to play it, and they get to play a version of it that's better than the original. Like it doesn't have this weird stilted voice acting. It doesn't have it. It's got legitimate cutscenes that people nowadays would appreciate more than the old school, like emulating the fucking PS1 version or whatever. And in general, RE2 Remake is a phenomenal experience that stands on its own as a video game, kind of apart from the original. It's like a completely different experience that is fantastic. I don't think The Last of Us 1 needs that because it's not that old and it's a good game. Not saying
Redo the
original
last
RE2,
of us.
not saying
Redo the
original
last
RE2 is a bad game.
Like
Sorry, what did you say?
yeah, oh sorry, go ahead. You first, Robbie.
I said redo the Last of Us 2. God.
Oh, no. I
Shade
still
grown.
don't understand why people hate that game, to be honest.
I am of the opinion I did just not like the ending. It's an opinion based thing.
When I mean I don't understand why people dislike it, it's like I literally don't know how it ends. I don't know what the thing is that people are
Uh,
mad about, other than like, isn't there like a trans character? I just assumed it was like blanket like transphobia or
Nope.
some shit
Oh
like
no.
No, there's a lot of thing that game does to piss people off.
that.
Like retcon parts of the first game.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, they took their beautiful first story, which I absolutely loved, and they just like threw it in a shredder. Love it.
I don't know if that dramatic, but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
some of it. Some
Did they
of it.
like retcon? God, I like. See, I avoided Last of Us 2 spoilers because I held out for the
Some of
pipe
it.
dream of a PC port, but I know that it's probably not going to happen, at least not for the foreseeable future.
It did not do well. It did not do well.
What did they retcon? I want to ask what they retcon from the first game, but I also don't want to be spoiled, but I also want to know.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you off podcast.
Well, that doesn't matter
And
because you could tell me
as
now and then just tell people that we're going to spoil it.
okay, yeah.
Well,
So spoiler warning.
What do they
Uh,
retcon? Do they retcon like the ending
kind
or
of,
something?
yeah. So
Are
the
you
big,
serious?
yeah, I'm serious. So the big thing and the ending of the game is there's the
Timestamp this shit, by the way, in case people
yeah,
yeah, we're
don't
gonna
want
put
to
a
hear this.
timestamp for this, people.
there's the Fireflies. So they're this like quasi-militant organization. They're in conflict with what remains of the government and stuff. They do some shady things. They do some good things. Right now, they're working on a cure. You find documents that imply that they're not as 100% on the cure as they do.
Oh
There
no.
is a slight shade that Ellie might die for nothing if she goes on the table. It is implied. and
Oh my God, no.
and so it's kind of like a dirty lab and whatever, and
Well, that you
Joel.
could stop right there because that alone kind of ruins the ending of the first game.
No, that is the ending of the first game. I'm saying what's in the first game.
Oh, okay. Well, no,
Uh,
but wasn't the first game was that in the first game?
yeah,
They make it like
that's
kind of
the end.
ambiguous even there.
Yeah.
Because I thought the whole point of the ending of the first game was that no, like Ellie was the cure, and that was like the whole drama of the ending
Well,
was that
again,
Joel's
it's
like, nah, fuck that.
but again, it's ambiguous, but only slightly. Is that
Okay,
the truth is they have never had a sample like Ellie, so even if the other ones were failures, it's not 100% applicable, but there is like a nugget of doubt that is introduced. And
okay,
being that they are an off-government organization, the lab isn't like the best run thing and stuff. In Last of Us 2, there's flashbacks to the lab because one of the characters is the daughter of the doctor that Joel kills to save Ellie, and it is just strong arming that it would have worked 100%. The lab is clean, pristine. They had their own fuel source and like food. It was basically like the Firefly base was like a post-apocalyptic paradise, and Joel just destroyed it all for kind of no reason.
Yeah.
okay. But there is a reason though.
Well, but the reason being just like it really muddies the waters of like instead of doing it like oh this might not work and Ellie is worth it.
Right.
I could understand doing that and like again, he kills the lab, and depending on how you play it, he kills very few people to save Ellie. But in this one, like he literally destroys he kills everyone,
Okay.
and it was definitely
Full
going
on
to work,
massacre.
and
Full on massacre.
yeah, and stuff like that. Stuff that isn't even in Joel's character. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like why would he go after everyone?
Okay.
And then there's
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like 50-50 on that. I feel like I don't hate that as much as some people clearly do, but I can also
Also-
understand how that would make some people mad.
Yeah, there
I
again.
don't know.
That's just one part. There's a whole bunch of other things, and
Wonder how they'll handle that with the looming remake of
people
the
are
first game.
worried
Yeah.
that they'll like canonize the retcon and just
I mean, they
have
probably will, right? Like, why wouldn't they? They
eh,
wrote it into the second game. They probably. I don't see why they wouldn't change the last moments.
but
When
well
you're calling
okay.
it a remake, especially, you're clearly changing shit.
Let's
It's not a
also
remaster.
point out that let's get away from just even The Last of Us. Is if Sony wants like safe and guaranteed money, why the fuck is there not a Bloodborne PC port or remake
Yeah, I mean,
or
listen,
sequel?
friend, you're preaching to the choir here, bud.
Like there's a lot of things, and
Who's
even
been
of
who's
all the
been
things to
of all the
remake,
people you know, Anthony,
Yeah.
who's been bitching and complaining about Sony's like fucking incompetence when it comes to porting shit to PC for like years?
You.
Me,
Yeah,
this
you're
guy
the
right
guy.
here, because I don't get it. It's free fucking money, but instead they're remaking The Last of Us. Like, what the fuck is going on?
And again, even yeah, Last of Us 13 years ago, sure. There are like gems, fucking gold of PS1 games and PS2 games that haven't even been thought of in like 20 years that they could be going into and getting stuff. People would go crazy for Ape Escape. That would blow people's minds, you know?
Yeah. Especially because if there's a digital version of that on PS3 store, it's gonna disappear soon. Or
Yes!
Vita or whatever.
Yes.
Goodbye, Ape Escape. Goodbye.
And then even yeah, that's a good point too. PSP and Vita games. I love Soul Sacrifice. That could be made into a modern game. Monster Hunter is super hot right now. You could get a lot of money with a Monster Hunter clone right now. It's doing better than it ever has. And
Shit, say what you will about Microsoft, and I mean, like, Microsoft clearly does not have as many solid exclusives as Sony. That's been like their biggest issue for years now.
Mhm.
But at least Microsoft proved that in the last console generation, they were willing to put like a shoestring budget towards something like a fighting game, which actually wound up being one of the best fighting games made in like recent years because the people who worked on it gave a shit. And like that came about because they were willing to put money towards something like that. Sony is clearly taking the everything must be COD,
Yeah,
everything must sell like COD approach, which is dangerous because it means we're going to get less of that small budget creative shit that's exclusive to a Sony console, and instead you're just
and
going to be
that's
seeing constant Uncharted and Last of Us and God of
right.
War
And I think
sequels.
I think that's the biggest problem is that it leads to, or not even sequels, remakes sometimes. It leads to this mentality where it's like what EA did, like Dead Space, even 3, like in order to maximize profits because they were giving such an insane goal, it just turned into like a regular third-person shooter, which turned off hardcore fans, and and it still sold something silly like 3 million, but the goal was like 5 million, so it was a failure, and now Dead Space is dead. And like Sony doesn't realize that you could do that to any of these games. If you set these big budgets, you then need big sales, and the best way to guarantee that is to water it down. And if you water it down, you could do it to the point it loses what had any fans in the first place, and then it dies. Like, it's all fine and good to say we'll make nothing but blockbusters, but that's nothing but big payoffs, which means nothing but safe plays. And that's not going to create a brand that'll excite people, you know.
I don't know if that's the case because there's a lot of fucking smooth brains out there that'll probably be happy, honestly, with just getting constant big budget Last of Us games and shit like that, as opposed to like seeing this for its negatives. Um, I don't know. I like I said, I just think it's like I don't even know. Like it's like I said when I read the article, like I wasn't shocked. It's like I totally understand this mindset. It's Sony wanting. Sony realizes that they're in a really interesting state, right? It's like if you could turn back time and go back to like OG Xbox era and then switch roles, Sony is now where Microsoft was with like Halo, except they have like three of them and they
Mm.
realize this. They've got The Last of Us, they've got Uncharted, they've got God of War. They have these big fucking games that sell systems, and they're just seeing they have the money shades on where they're like, well, why the fuck would we put money towards some small bullshit digital only fucking like small budget PlayStation exclusive title or some shit when we could just pump out these Last of Us games and make fucking gigabucks. It's like it's not shocking to me. You know what I mean? And as much as I hate to say it, it might not even be bad for them in the long run.
Yeah.
Like if the Last of Us games continue to be good, they might view this as a success.
Right.
Even though people complained about like and negatively reviewed Last of Us 2, critically it was well received and that game still sold fucking gigabucks. You know? So they think they're doing the right thing and by all accounts they might actually be by not like by just focusing on this bullshit. Only time's gonna tell, to be honest.
Oh yeah. There is a chance that this works out, but I mean, there's also the element of this we haven't really touched on, where it's like even their own devs are kind of sick of it.
Well, yeah,
Which that'll be interesting too, to just see what happens internally with Sony.
that makes sense to me. Like, you work at the studio that did Days Gone, you have an opportunity to like make a sequel. You pitch the idea, and then they go, "No, fuck off. Make another Last of Us game. Work on a Last of Us remake instead. That's where your time is better spent.
Now, chop chop.
Don't be creative and work on like your own original thing. Just fucking make us more money than you otherwise would by doing this instead." And I can
Isn't
see
that
how that
like
would
the
be soul
problem with
crushing.
like modern day gaming industry logic? It's where it's no one wants to be innovative anymore. It's all just about fucking making money.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the soul is dead and rotted.
Why does BioWare suck now? For this exact reason that you just stated.
Mm.
That's why they don't make good games anymore. That's how this shit works.
Speaking of losing a whole bunch of money, uh, Epic Games lost over 181 million and 273 million on EGS in 2019 and 2020 respectively.
I mean, I've never agreed with Epic's fucking way of making money.
You know what? I'll say that I agree with its method. It's a good idea on paper. I hate it, don't get me wrong, but a great way to attract people to your platform is to get games on it. And if you're paying for just timed exclusivity, even it's cool that he's helped fund the development of some of these games. It's just
Yeah.
that then they often give the game for free, and then people take it for free, and uh, and then he's also backing such winners as MechWarrior 5, and then that one just was a money hole, and whoops. And so it's led to, but the funny sub story of this is Tim Sweeney then tweeting that it's Apple spinning this as a negative because
Well,
he's a
can I
fucking
explain that?
psychopath. Yes, go
Can I
ahead.
explain that really quick? He's actually kind of not, because I did a little bit of extra research into this. The only reason anyone's reporting on this in the first place is because this came out as part of a document Apple filed in the court proceedings.
Oh
I
wow.
assume, I assume because they're trying to point at it and be like, look, they subverted our terms of service and went behind our backs because they're losing money on EGS. Like, I'm assuming that's Apple's argument and why they put this before a judge. But like that's why he tweeted that. Because I too was like, wow, that's really odd. Why did he just randomly bring up that Apple shit? And then I read a different article where they were like, all these sales figures and this loss of money from EGS came out because Apple is like reporting on it for the court proceedings. So
Neat.
he said that for a reason. He wasn't just like bringing Apple into it for no reason. He's trying, but in classic Tim Sweeney fashion, he's going on the defensive hard and being like, no, it's like necessary to lose this money because we're building a brand here, people. And can I be fair and honest here for a moment? 273 million and also a sum of 181 million in a different year, I believe. Not that much money for
For
the
companies
amount
like
of money
this, yeah, it's well, I
that,
don't know, 300
that
mil.
they make a lot of money on Fortnite every year, dude. It's like literally in the billions in like microtransactions from Fortnite. I don't think they give a fuck. I really don't think they care.
Yeah, but they lost it on Epic Game Store. So does that mean that this is post profit? 181 loss and 273?
That's a good point.
Because that means, holy fuck, that's a lot of money.
I have to assume from the way this article is written that they're specifically talking about EGS and like store transactions on EGS, which I don't think would include Fortnite microtransactions. I think they're just talking about game sales from the way the article is written. I would have to look at like a different article to see if that's the case, but that's what I'm going to assume just from reading the one that you linked. Which would still lead me to believe that, like, yes, the sum of money doesn't fucking matter, dude. They make so much money on Fortnite, it's insane. Tim Sweeney shits gold.
Yeah, I mean, it helps when you have child crack in your pocket.
I'm sorry if you hear my dog barking when I hit my push talk, by the way.
No, it's fine.
Child.
But yeah, that's the interesting sub story. That's why this came out at all in the first place.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Yep.
In my head, it's the most petty version of this, where it's just like they're actually doing court proceedings and like, oops, you also lost a bunch of money. Isn't that sad for you? Like it has nothing to do with the case. Oh.
What a loser you are, Tim Sweeney.
If it pleases the court, defendant, did you or did you not lose $200 million being a little baby man? I do remind you, you're under oath.
And then Tim Sweeney pulls his pants down and just shits V-Bucks.
May
It's like, I
the
don't give
may
a
the court note that he refuses to answer the question. He's shitting more V-Bucks.
Assuming-
Keanu Reeves kicks in the door, starts flossing.
I call my star witness, Keanu Reeves.
Call in my secondary witness, Orange Shirt Kid.
I'm going to assume that if my interpretation of the article is correct and this isn't taking into account Fortnite fucking revenue, that you're going to continue to see Epic do what they're doing with EGS for many years to come. Because I don't see them giving up anytime soon.
And even if it is somehow all of their V-Bucks bucks plus EGS bucks, they're still like Unreal bucks, which are definitely not factored in and probably definitely worth more than 300
Oh God,
mil.
yeah, absolutely. That's a fair point. I didn't even think about that.
So it's not, and again, that's even why I bring up this. Like, it's not. Look, Epic's game store is, well, maybe the store, but Epic is definitely not gonna go anywhere. A lot of businesses operate where it's like, yeah, we'll take loss in this sector because our profits in this sector, it doesn't even matter. And he is trying to build a brand. I think it's funny.
In all fairness, like you can love the Epic Game Store shit, you can hate it. I'm kind of indifferent to it. I have been since they've started doing it because I don't have as much of a launcher allegiance to anything like Steam. But you have to admit that as big of a company as Epic is now, they are still fighting the titan that is Steam. So like
Yeah.
I don't I don't hold it against them that they do what they do to try to promote EGS by like buying game exclusivity to the store, blah blah blah, giving away shit for free just to try to anchor you to the platform, whilst also having it be exclusive in some instances. Like, I can't even hate them for it because it's like, yeah, I mean, everyone already has Steam installed on their computer. How the fuck do you compete with that? And it's been proven that you can't because so many other people have tried. I mean, you have stuff like GOG and shit, which is like mildly successful. It's still not Steam.
No, yeah.
Like no one hits those Steam numbers. So like he's trying to do that. And not just him, the company is trying to do that. So I can't blame them for their methods, to be honest, because it is probably some of the only ways you're going to get people to fucking use Epic Game Store is by buying exclusivity for fucking like Metro Exodus and shit for a year and all the other games that did it with. Like Death Stranding.
Mm.
It's going to keep happening. I don't know what the next game is going to be that's fucking EGS exclusive, but it's going to keep happening.
And I will continue to wait a year. Speaking of waiting a year, that only kind of works. Some PS3 games supposedly no longer downloading patches. The store isn't even gone yet, but you can't
Era,
patch your games.
It's gone soon, though.
an era is dead.
I
3
got
months, I think.
So there's a lot of doom and gloom about this. Let me put the slight positive notes on it. You can still download the patches if you have a hacked PS3, oddly enough, and you get the files on your computer. And secondly, you can still download the game, and it'll still be the version 1.0 of the game. So most patches tend to have to do with like gameplay balance with if it's multiplayer, which with the store going down that won't really matter, and then bug fixes, which that does suck, and hopefully some solution appears somewhere. But here's the thing that no one considers. You'll be allowed to play the version of Dark Souls where Iron Skin is still busted and Lightning is still king to New Game 24
Until July, when you can't buy it at all.
until you can't buy it at all.
So get it now If you don't already own it, like in an unpatched or state, go buy it now.
I think last
It
week
won't patch.
I last week or the week before I joked about this being a scare tactic to like get people to buy and download now. This
Yeah.
is like that to a level I couldn't even
Yeah.
comprehend
If
where
that's
it's like
if that's still the tactic, boy, they're sticking
if
to
you
it.
are interested in any PS3 game, you have to buy it now. I don't want to tell you to buy it now because you probably have other things you need to buy. But if you want that game, you have to buy it now and patch it
Maximilian
now.
Maximilian made a video recently from a clip of one of his recent streams where he pointed out all of the like re-releases of like classic fighting games that are like easily the best version of them that exist, period, which happen to be on the PS3 store that are just gonna be gone in like 3 months. Like they're just gonna be gone. Like Darkstalkers Resurrection is on the PS3
Oh
store.
shit.
I think it has better netcode than like the 360 version. If you want to play Darkstalkers in the modern day and age, it's your best option to do so, and it's gone in 3 months. Period. It's not on anything else other than 360, which is like, from what I understand, inferior netcode wise. Same thing with like MVC2, which you can't buy MVC2 currently, but if you, I I'm pretty sure you can't buy it. I think it's off the store, I believe. But
Damn.
you can still get it if you like hack a PlayStation 3, and I think that's not going to be possible to download either, obviously, like once the store goes down. So like there's all kinds of incredible versions of these classic fight. MK Collection is on PS3 store. It's like I think it might only be on PS3 store. That's gone in 3 months. Like there's tons of cool shit that's just like fucking poofing in 3 months. I still kind of can't believe this is happening. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
it's so
It
shocking.
makes no I don't understand the logic behind it. Like it's literally just shut down a profit sector. It doesn't cost a lot to like host things on a server. Like I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I really don't get it. It's just kind of brain dead.
Even if you want to be a real cheap bastard about it, do like kind of like a torrent thing where it's like you could download it from other people who have purchased it that are on your network. Uh, there you don't have any host costs anymore. It's just the infrastructure, which of course you're gonna leave up because that's how you get your PlayStation Plus money. I don't know. Whatever. I gotta buy a PS3.
It's all going away.
You want a PS3, mate? I got a PS3.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hell yeah. Um. Anyway, let's keep going. Um. Nvidia had a big conference and it was mostly boring, but there are two things that are really neat. Um. Well, one's kind of neat. One's kind of like, whatever. Is that they announced their new series of graphics cards for basically like art production type stuff. It's essentially the Quattro line, if you're familiar with those type of cards. The Titan type class cards, where I guess you could use them for video games, but really they're made for art and video and rendering and stuff like that. Is those lines of cards were announced? They're gonna be coming out. They're probably gonna be bought immediately and scalped, even though it has way less of a use case, but whatever, the market's stupid. And then the most interesting thing was Grace. Nvidia is making CPUs.
Yeah, I heard about that.
They're getting into the CPU market.
I mean, fuck it, I don't
Interesting.
see why not.
It's just very, very interesting. It seems like a lot of, and it makes sense because that's where all the markets are heading with everyone working from home. It's like server infrastructure is the shit. So it doesn't surprise me that they're trying to make a server class CPU to get in on who knows how many profitable contracts there.
I really don't see why they wouldn't get into the CPU market, especially for basic like CPUs, just to compete with AMD even more so than they already do, just to like cut into their market just a little bit more, just to try to take a couple more dumps on their biggest competitor.
But still, it's interesting times. Intel's making graphic processing units, Nvidia getting into CPUs. AMD was the only one that always kind of did both, and now they're all on equal footing, at least when it comes to having a foot in all the markets.
That'll be interesting. I am curious to see how Nvidia's CPUs fare, because I kind of hate AMD fanboyism, to be completely honest with you. It kind of sickens me, and I despise reading comments of people being like, "Yeah, Intel sucks my fucking peen. AMD's so incredible," making their like meme images of like AMD shitting on fucking Intel processors and shit like that. And I hope that Nvidia comes in with some really competitive shit so that those people can shut the fuck up on their subreddits and their YouTube comment chains. It's like fanboyism to the fucking extreme, dude.
You're insane to think that this will not just breed more obnoxious
Oh, of course it
fanboyism.
will, but at least there will be something to compete.
Be the three-way wars between blue, red, and green.
It's
The
coming.
the ending of Mass Effect coming at you.
Oh my
No,
god.
you take this evil out of the podcast.
Put this evil on.
Take this evil out of the podcast. Fucking be gone.
The fact has become real.
Fucking be gone. I'm out.
Uh, let's move on to the next story then, which is David Grader shares his ideal
Oh yeah.
Snyder cut of Dragon Age 2.
Oh, I read this article in depth today, and it's actually very interesting. It has a lot of cool little nuggets of wisdom in there. I would like to say that I hate the title of this article to my core, because I don't want people to start popularizing the usage of Snyder Cut whenever anyone has like a fucking rewrite of anything or explains cut content. Like, please shut the fuck up with Snyder Cut now. Thank you.
Wow, someone hate on Schneider right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fucking subpar director that everyone jerks off. Anyway, so this is interesting. I think I'll speak for myself here a little bit, but I think there are people on this podcast who echo this sentiment a little bit, or would, if asked, that Dragon Age 2 kind of sucks in comparison to Dragon Age Origins. It's not a very good game. I fucking hate it. It's the only Dragon Age game that I never finished. Couldn't bring myself to do it because I got about halfway through and I was like, this game is fucking terrible. Recently, this man who is now the co-founder of a different studio but worked at BioWare at the time, he talks like he was like big shit on the writing team, but I don't know if that's true because the article just says he was a writer. So I don't know exactly what his title and station was at BioWare at the time. But he went on a bit of a tweet storm and was explaining cut content from Dragon Age 2 and like the way things would have gone had some of that shit been in there instead. And some of what he says is like a very interesting peek behind the curtain, because he's talking about the game specifically from a writing standpoint and what wasn't there in the writing, but you can kind of read between the lines and see how this probably affected other facets of the game too, like gameplay and the environments and shit like that. So it's a pretty short article. So I'm just going to read some of what he says because I find it very interesting. He says, I'm willing to bet that Mark Dara or Mike Laidlaw or anyone else on the team would give very different answers than me, but it's enough to give a sober man pause because that was the project of multiple regrets.
Yikes.
He says that Dragon Age 2 was a fantastic game hidden under a mountain of compromises, cut corners, and tight deadlines, which speaks to why all this content had to be cut in the first place. he says he would have wanted to either restore the progressive changes to Kirkwall that we'd planned over the passing of in-game years, or reduce the time between acts to months instead of years. The goal here would be to make Kirkwall feel like a bigger city that's both more crowded and more alive. He also wants to restore a plot point where Hawk as a mage came this close to becoming an abomination since
Yeah, I
he's
read
the
that.
only mage who apparently never struggles with this. He says that subplot especially was a hard cut. I want to point out before I read the rest of what he said that like he says something interesting in there, which is that that there was apparently supposed to be like progressive changes to Kirkwall over time to like make it feel more lived in and like it evolved as a city. Can I just point out that that does not solve my primary issue with the game, which is that it takes place in one fucking city at all in the first place?
Well, I don't know. I will kind of give that
I will
because
say that would have helped a lot with the fact that it took place in one city. That if it was a constantly changing environment, that definitely would have helped it.
Wait,
Yes.
did he ever say anything about like not not reusing maps for the outside environment?
No, see, so that's the thing is he doesn't go into that, but I'm assuming that when he talks about how okay, so let me finish what he says because the article is actually very short, and then we can talk about that. He then says other cut narrative threats include connections to Dragon Age Origins, through connections to Dragon Age Origins arc, 3 details tied to the Mage and Templar feud, and an end battle for Orsino. Naturally, there's the entire Exalted March DLC, which never saw the light of day, and of course a Varric romance. Um, Asked about broader story changes he'd make in an ideal world, Gator said he would have taken out that thing where Meredith gets the idol. It was forced on me because she needed to be super powered with red lyrium for her final battle. Being crazy, however, robbed her side of the Mage Templar argument of any legitimacy. I hated that.
oh, thank God, at
Um,
least he recognizes that.
yeah. On one hand, Dragon Age 2 existed to fill a hole in the release schedule, he said in a fitting closer, discussing the game's rushed development. More time was never in the cards. Dragon Age 2 was originally planned as an expansion.
Huh.
That's interesting. On the other, if we had more time, would we have started doing that thing where we second guess / iterate ourselves into mediocrity? He also has a tweet halfway through this article that I thought was also interesting, where he explains Dragon Age 2 was the project where my writing team was firing on all cylinders, and they wrote like the wind because they had to. Second draft, guffaw, plot reviews. I was so proud of what we all accomplished in such a brief time, I didn't think it was possible. So there was no second drafts, there was no reviews of plot. He makes it sound like they were just writing on the fly, and whatever they came up with was what got used for the game. So he's implying it was a very rushed fucking project, which is why it is the way that it is. Which he's talking about the writing. You could bring it back to what you asked, which is like, does he explain why the environments are all fucked up? It probably extends to that too. Like the time constraints and all the cuts and shit like that. If they had that little time to write a plot, and the fact that this game was initially planned to be like an expansion, he's implying that it was giga rushed for the writing. It was probably rushed in every other fucking way too, which is why all the fucking environments, even in this city, when you go into some of those like back alley environments and shit, they're like just reused constantly, and you just enter them from different points. I fucking hate that game, dude. The game is so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, you
Right,
know
right, it's okay. Breathe, breathe. We understand. It's okay.
it'll
Breathe, man.
disgust you to know that it has to be someone's favorite Dragon Age game.
Oh, I know. I know that. I know that. In fact, I
Like,
think we've talked.
I don't know. Like, if the game is better, I guess that's a good thing. But I don't know. Like, it's cool. All right, so let's say he Schneider cuts Dragon Age 2, and it's fucking great. And then I still have no faith in BioWare to make Dragon Age 4 or whatever any fucking good. So
No,
like,
yeah. And this guy doesn't even work there anymore either. Like he did at the time. He's not there now. He's basically just telling people like it's like when that guy came out a while back that used to work at Valve, and he was like, "Here's what Half-Life 3 would have been."
Yeah.
That's what this guy is doing. He's just like, "Here's the shit that didn't make it into Dragon Age 2 that was supposed to be there, but it wasn't because we had so little fucking time." Um, I don't know. It's like some of what he says makes sense, like where he's talking about how like the Meredith fight is kind of odd, and I think one of the more enlightening things that he describes is just I found it really interesting that he explains that it's like, in his opinion, a fantastic game hidden under a mountain of compromises, which is like a massive statement in that like this was supposed to be something that it wasn't, and they just didn't have the time to make it anything good. And but even more enlightening than that is when he says that it was supposed to be an expansion. And the game wasn't even supposed to be a full game. Like that's fucking massive, dude.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
That's so massive. That's like one of the biggest pieces of news I've ever heard about Dragon Age 2. And that explains so much.
It explains the lack of maps. It explains the lack of direction in a lot of it.
You have a game that was just supposed to be an expansion, and then you're like, now let's make it into a full game. But let's
Stretch.
not dedicate a lot of time to it. Let's not review scripts. Let's fucking reuse environments all over the fucking place. Let's cut every single corner that we possibly can. Let's force our writers to shoehorn in some really dumb plot points because they just don't have the time.
You know,
I
And
mean,
then you
it's
honestly,
like the whole Andromeda thing, where they took a DLC team and were like, "You're in charge of everything,"
that
and they
almost
fucked up
sounds like
everything.
even that they're programming along and it's going good, and then like an exec pops in and is like, "Hey guys, how's all the work going?" And they're like, "Yeah, good. We're pretty happy with how the DLC's coming out." And then the exec just goes, "DLC?"
sorry.
Yeah.
And then
Oh
they were
god.
like, "Oh shit."
Oh, I'm gonna have to ask you to come in on the weekends.
Uh,
You
which
guys got a
which
whole
ones?
game.
All of them.
all of them.
You guys
We have
got
a
a whole game
month.
to make.
We're a month out from release, and this is not DLC, friend.
Oh, how are we gonna make all the different city maps and also all the outside environment maps? Can all the outside environment maps?
Oh, it's very simple. You're just gonna use the same one every time.
You're
They
literally never leaving Kirkwall.
But they just walk in from a different point of entry every time, and we'll just kind of like spin the map a little, make them feel like they're like it's a different map. But then when they walk like 5 feet in, they'll realize that it's the same hallway, just from a different fucking point of entry. Like, fuck off. God, I hate that game. That was like one of the most. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast. I feel like I have. But it's like
Dragon Age? Maybe not.
about Dragon Age 2 specifically, maybe. I don't remember. It might have been like a really early podcast. But it's like Dragon Age 2 is the first game I can remember where I had, and I'm sure you've all experienced this. I think Richie kind of experienced it with Mass Effect 3, where it's like I was sort of like in denial, but slowly realizing as I was playing it that I was like, this isn't good. But like it was as I was playing it, where like I started and I was like, "Fuck yeah, man, Dragon Age! I'm so excited!" And I started playing it, and I was like, "All right, it feels kind of weird to play, but it's like it's not terrible. Wow, this environment looks the same as that last one. That's strange. That's got to just be for this quest or whatever, right?" And then it's like the more you go in, like every hour that crept by, I start like more and more. It seeped into my mind. I was like, this might not be that good. It's not getting any better, but it's got to turn around, right? Like this game can't be that bad. Dragon Age Origins was so good, and then I got like halfway through it, and I was like, I think this game's dog shit. I think I've just been lying to myself this whole fucking time. I think it's really bad.
You know what? I felt that way with Mass Effect 3 with the ending. It absolutely crushed me, the ending. But I accepted that, I was like, maybe Andromeda will not be as bad. And then all the hatred came out for Andromeda. I was like, it can't be as bad as everyone was saying it was. I went in with Andromeda with a little bit of hope, and it killed me.
I really dodged a bullet on Andromeda because I honestly don't even know why I didn't get it when it came out. Because I too was like kind of looking forward to it. I was like, all right, because that was like before we knew that BioWare was like a dumpster fire. Because they hadn't like we didn't have the Anthem shit fest yet. All we really had was Mass Effect 3 ending.
And yeah,
I
and
don't,
it was ending.
yeah,
It was just the ending.
it was
And
the ending.
that
So
was
like,
because, from what I heard, like there was like the endings were like getting leaked. People were trying to leak endings, so they did a rushed ending, and that wasn't actually the ending they wanted to do. That was
That was
something
like
I heard out there.
that was their supposed
Reasoning.
bullshit excuse, wasn't it? That they had like, or didn't they say that they had like outsourced Mass Effect 3's ending?
There was two reasons. One was their ending got leaked. Another was that their ending got outsourced. I don't know which one's real.
Regardless, the ending fucking blows. But like leading up to Andromeda, I was kind of excited for it because I was like, new Mass Effect, maybe it's gonna be good. And for some reason, I just like didn't pre-order it and I didn't buy it when it came out. And in hindsight, it's good that I did not do that because then a little time went by and it was like, hey, this game is a clusterfuck. I don't know how the fuck I dodged that. I really don't know why I wasn't there.
And you know what? I
That
played
really-
Inquisition because I'm just a glutton for punishment. And Inquisition,
It's okay.
it's okay.
not the worst.
It's not a bad game.
I give Inquisition like two whore thumbs. Like I don't love it.
I will even give it a thumb up in some regards.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. I don't know. I'm very like
After the DLC came out for it, and I got a better grasp on all the story and everything, I would actually give it a thumbs up with how it's going, with the way it's trying to go. I am optimistic for the next one. I do like. One thing I don't like is that they fucking kept changing everything with all those patches. They're like, no, this is too strong. No, we're changing how this works and everything. I was like, just let me play the fucking game. Stop changing
Just-
everything.
just
I know
rating
you
the
don't-
base game of Inquisition. It's like it's okay. It's not
Oh,
an
yeah.
incredible game,
Base
but it's
game,
all right.
it's
You
okay.
know, it could have been worse. You know,
much,
I didn't.
much worse. Much
I
worse.
walked away from it being like this game's way too long for what it is. Like there's too much like fetch questy bullshit, and I didn't really like the way they handled the open world design and all the various environments and stuff. But I was like, it could have been worse. It's not as bad as Dragon Age 2. It's all right.
I definitely do
However,
like the dragons. I love the look of the dragons in that.
however, I kind of hate every piece of concept art I've seen for Dragon Age 4 so far. And when you
I have not
combine
seen
that,
any of it.
I don't like it. And when you combine that with the news story of it was supposed to be a games as a service title, I have very little faith that that game is going to be good.
I'm hopeful, just like I'm hopeful for anything the Mass Effect's gonna put out next, because I need to be. I love the universe too much. I love the
understand
universe
that.
too
I
much.
mean, I love
Hear
Mass
the
Effect 2,
desperation
Rob,
in my
but
voice.
I love Mass Effect 2, but I'm also realistic, and I
I'm
understand that
not
they don't make
realistic.
good games anymore. So as much as I would like for Mass Effect to be good in the future, I bet it's going to be mediocre at
Alright.
best.
You know what? I'm hoping that's at least okay.
It might be. It might be okay.
I'm not
Yeah, you
expecting
know,
anything like the Mass
Jesus
Effect
Christ,
result.
what a fall from grace when we're pulling for like two whore thumbs. Like that's
Yes.
that's our best outcome.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe they'll surprise us. Unlikely, very unlikely, near impossible. But hey,
We might be
Literally,
surprised
like-
with one thumb up.
Literally like on my knees praying for like a 5 out of 10. Hoping
man.
and praying. Come on, BioWare, you can find it in you
you
somewhere.
can do it, BioWare. We believe in you. You
No,
can do it.
no, we don't.
You can find it in yourself to make something perfectly average. I fucking believe, dude.
Yeah, a 5 out of 10, Rich. You don't believe in average?
I don't believe Bioware can pull a 5 out of 10 anymore.
Oh my
Alright,
God.
That's
I don't either, but I can hope that they
I
will.
I pray that you can do average, BioWare. If you're listening, BioWare, anyone from
only through
BioWare.
intervention of a higher power can something average come out of BioWare. Oh, what dark times
I've
we
looked
live in.
at my Steam library. Literally everything I've been playing has been made by fucking
When
idiots.
you sit here and think about it, our like childhoods have been crushed.
Oh, so
Like,
hard.
Absolutely.
Like fucking Bioware has become a shit company. Fucking Bungie no longer exists, and 343's ruined Halo. Fucking
mean,
like
I-
what game
I'm
from
not
our
thinking
childhood
about
has actually like been good consistently, or fucking
I
I
haven't,
don't know.
I haven't had an Armored Core in 10 years.
Okay,
Other
no, I
than-
got one. I have one. I have
Yep.
one.
Yep.
That's
Resident
still
Evil.
around today.
Resident
Oh,
Evil's still pretty
Resident
good.
Evil,
Alright.
you're right. Actually, Resident Evil has been pretty consistent.
Well, no, Resident Evil had a dark period where it was pretty shit for a little while.
We all remember Giraffe.
when RE6 was like the last most recent Resident Evil. That was a dark period, but then they brought it back. You know, now it's been pretty fucking good for like the last few years. So that's
Right
that's
now,
one. There's not much else.
Borderlands is not looking too good. So it's sad. I really enjoyed 1 and 2. 3 is
Oh, Monster
See,
Hunter's Monster Hunter is still good.
I'm too
Bor-
old to consider Borderlands for this discussion because Borderlands was not my childhood. I feel like Borderlands 1 came out when I was in like high school or some
see.
shit like that.
I
Oh, high
played
school's
Borderlands
fine.
like when I was just going into middle school. So
See, I
Alright,
look
well,
at
there you go.
Borderlands and I'm like, wow, this is the same game.
Ace Combat is still good.
Guys, the only reason why apparently Diablo Resurrected looks like it might be a pretty good remake, this just came to my attention within this last week, is that OG Blizzard staff aren't even making it. Did you know that?
oh,
Wow.
Apparently, Blizzard absorbed Vicarious Visions, which are the people who made the Tony Hawk remasters.
Okay.
And they're the ones making this Diablo 2 remaster, which is why it actually doesn't look like a trash fire
Wow.
because they realized they're so bad at doing it themselves that they had to get a company, they had to absorb a company that can do it to make it for them.
do we have any other stories? Hang on, let me look
Yeah,
at the
we do.
list.
Fuck yeah, we do.
I didn't know.
This one's
You
good.
bet
So
your ass we do.
talking about hoping and
We went on a
praying,
bit
getting
of a tangent.
rewarded.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hang on, are we just gonna keep talking about the tangent, or do we actually have other stories? 'Cause
Is
I
I
was
love
looking at the
tangents,
list.
Rob.
Tangents are pretty good.
It is a good tangent. I was like, do I want to actually go through my list of games and see if there's anything that old? And I was like, wait, do we have more stories?
So, hope being rewarded is Nier Automata. Its upgrade patch is coming to Steam.
Hey,
Yep.
People complained enough.
People complained about it, and it's happening. Thank God.
friends, waifu.
I'm very happy about this because, like I mentioned briefly at the beginning of the podcast, this is also a game I have to fucking go back and finish at some point. And now I have a reason to just wait until they fix the fucking dog shit Steam port,
Wait a minute, you
and that's
never
very
beat this
exciting.
game?
No, I said that at the start. It's one of those single player games that I started. I put like 12 hours into it or something like that, and then I got fucking pulled away by something. I don't even remember what.
Interesting.
Well, now
But now I get to wait until the Steam version doesn't suck. That game is
There you
so
go.
fucked up on Steam. That was another big part, I think, of why I got pulled away from Automata is because it's really a clusterfuck. All the cutscenes without like a third party patch stutter, even on like really good hardware.
Really? That's
Yes, they're like it's like and there's a lot of cutscenes near Automata, so you're sitting through jittery, fucked up, low frame rate cutscenes for a very long time.
that is absolutely sad.
Yes, the resolution options all suck. Like the game is very fucked up on Steam, so this
Well,
is very good that they're fixing it, and I'm actually kind of
congrats, man.
excited about it.
Congrats.
and now for Faith being unrewarded, Sony wants to bring popular PlayStation game franchises to phones.
Yeah, this is a small story that I actually just remembered is in
Why
there
is
at all.
popular in like quotes?
That's a good
Yeah, I don't know. I
question.
noticed that.
That's a good fucking question.
I'm surprised we didn't just roll this into us bitching about Sony. Like,
Yeah, I was like, why is
30
Sony
minutes
like
ago.
so popular this week?
I don't know. Apparently now, on top of killing off smaller creative exclusive projects, they also want to push to bring their big IPs to mobile.
Can I play
Also not
mobile
shocking.
Ape Escape?
No, yeah, it's like
Can I play
whatever.
mobile Ape Escape?
No.
It's not going to be Ape Escape for all.
They do have
Ape Escape's in the dirt.
No.
there's a Crash Bandicoot on mobile.
Really?
I think. You know, it's so hard to tell if it's real or if it's just some like really shitty, quick model rip cash grab. So I can't be for sure, but I'm pretty sure I saw at least an advertisement for there's. It's not really like a Crash Bandicoot game, but it is Crash Bandicoot mobile game.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't
I'll
know.
play it.
I don't know what else you would bring on there, like the Unholy War, or
God damn it.
I mean, it just says They're hiring an executive at PlayStation Studios who would focus on bringing PlayStation's most popular franchises to mobile. So they're just gonna make like mobile-only games based on their big IPs.
Right, but I
That'll
mean,
be cell phone only.
what is even their big IPs anymore? So
Last of Us,
we got
fucking
Last of Us,
Uncharted, God of
Uncharted, God
War,
of War,
Kratos.
whatever they.
Gonna come
Twist-
onto your phone and yell, "Boy!"
Twisted Metal, maybe. That's still a Sony
Is that a
IP,
big
and it is.
IP of theirs?
It's dead. Doesn't mean it's not big. It all depends on how you define big. You know.
I mean, big feels like the three we just named. I can't really think of anything else. You could say whatever they suck from soft stick and get them to make for PlayStation exclusive at any given point in time, but
If they
that's like
do.
arguably not big, quote unquote, like
Right.
Last of Us is or whatever. So
Maybe a Final Fantasy type thing. I mean, that's more
Final
Square
Fantasy is not even
Enix.
exclusive. Final Fantasy VII just lost its exclusivity
That's true.
to
Oh,
PlayStation 4 days ago. So
shit.
FF7 Remake could get a PC port announced literally any minute now because they just lost the Sony exclusivity. Fun fact.
Fun facts.
So it's probably gonna be some fucking like Uncharted mobile only game or some bullshit. Like
All of that sounds awful.
I am not a fan of Uncharted.
Uncharted
I've
was
never played
okay.
one.
I played a little bit of it, just wasn't a fan. Did not enjoy.
It's essentially Tomb Raider is the new Uncharted now too, so it's fine. And our last story is Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is having a crossover with Street Fighter V.
It is so fucking cool, dude. I don't even play Battle for the Grid and it's sick, honestly.
I think it is a bold move to just put your fighting game characters in another fighting game.
Why is that bold? People do it all the time.
No, but I mean like most of them, like the entire like the thing. It's not like one guest character. It's they got a whole and even it's like
They
weirdly
got two. They got
unique.
Ryu and Chun-Li.
It's really I thought they had more.
Nope, it's just Ryu and Chun. But they look like Power Rangers, which is why it's awesome. It's like Ryu and Chun if they were Power Rangers, like envisioned as Power Rangers.
Neat.
With their movesets in like a versus style game, which is so first of all, Ryu looks fucking sick in this game. Like he looks
From what
like
I'm looking at, he looks pretty awesome.
yes, he looks fucking sick. He
I
has a
like that he looks like he
moveset.
still has boxing gloves on.
Yeah, he's got his like he has like his some of his like Street Fighter flair, but like as a Power Ranger. Like it's a very cool design. His moves are very neat. Something that I heard Maximilian point out that's kind of interesting is that this is like Ryu's most recent outing in like a versus style fighting game that isn't like a Marvel versus Capcom game or like Tatsunoko versus Capcom, which is kind of interesting. Like, and he might be good in it as well because historically he's actually quite shit in like the Marvel versus Capcom games. He looks fucking awesome, man. I actually really think it's fucking incredible. Everything I hear about Battle for the Grid is that it's a really good game as well. I just like haven't played it because I'm not super into Power Rangers or anything like that. But as far as fighting games go, apparently this game is sick and Ryu looks fucking tight.
We can
He
see
looks
you playing Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, Brendan.
Chun Li's
Probably
pants
not.
look tight. And spandex.
Yeah, she's thick, dude.
It's-
As a Power Ranger, she is thick.
She's the thick ranger with a Q. That's an excellent design.
Thick as fuck. Ryu's awesome
Damn,
in this. He like it's
thick as fuck.
it's really kind of incredible to me that they got a different company. Like Battle for the Grid, I don't know how much you guys know about Battle for the Grid. It's kind of an incredible fighting game. It's shocking. It's kind of Killer Instinct-esque in that it's very low budget, but based on a pretty big IP that bigger than KI obviously. Very low budget, but has managed to do some stuff that like big budget fighting games can't do. So like its netcode is incredible. A, B, Street Fighter or Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is cross-platform across every SKU. So if you're playing on Xbox, you can play against people on PlayStation or against people on Switch or against people on Steam, which is mind-blowing because there's like no other fighting game or just game period that does shit like that. That's like cross-platform across every fucking version. And now you're getting crazy cross. And apparently the game plays incredibly well. It's basically like the best Marvel vs. Capcom that currently exists, in gameplay. And now they have fucking Ryu in it, which is a direct Marvel vs. Capcom fucking comparison. Not only is the game heavily inspired by those fucking games, now you straight up have a character from them in it who playing like he plays in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, and he looks fucking sick. Very cool.
Very cool.
Wonder what it means for the future of Capcom fighting games and versus Capcom fighting games. Eh? Eh?
Mm.
Eh? We got Ryu
Capcom
and a fucking
versus-
hyper fighter again, dude? Huh?
No, never.
MVC 483? Huh?
It'll be Capcom Power Battle for the Grid.
Huh? I didn't play Battle for the Grid, and I'm kind of excited about this.
It looks nice.
I don't know why.
I mean, there's
looks
literally
really
no
cool.
downside. Stuff looks nice.
Ooh.
I just like his design. It's like a very cool. He just looks cool, like as a Power Ranger. I don't know. They did a very good job of modeling him and like realizing his Street Fighter slash like MVC moveset, but in their game. Complete with like ink effects from SF5, just to give him like a little bit of flair and have him stand out from the rest of the cast. Like it's very cool.
So I just found something interesting.
Ooh.
Well, not too interesting, but interesting for me.
Way to
Subnautica
sandbag your own shit.
Yeah.
I found
Subnautica
something
Below
so
Zero.
cool. It's kind of lame. Let's go.
Wow,
Subnautica
so
Below
cool.
Zero's official trailer came out. It's coming out for PS5 as well.
What is?
Subnautica Below Zero. Its official trailers come out.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't
Subnautica.
know what it is.
Oh,
Is it like DLC or something?
Nope,
For
it's the
Subnautica?
second game.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
When
really?
Glenn- Yeah.
It's the second game?
Yep.
Subnautica's always been one of those games I've wanted to get. I just haven't actually got it. And
now's your chance on the PlayStation 5.
Wow.
Like, comment, subscribe.
I don't know how I thought this was DLC.
Nope, it's a whole
No,
second.
Below Zero is its own game.
Is it coming to PC as well?
Yes, it's already on. I have the PC version as it
Oh.
was building.
Okay, so this is just a trailer for a port of an already existing version of the game.
Well, it's been I've gotten like the beta as it's been building up.
Ah.
Early access. So this is
Is
just
this
a
I never
1.0.
played Subnautica, but like does this actually have land in it?
It's got icebergs and stuff in it. Yeah.
But does normal Subnautica have like that or no?
Normal Subnautica had like an island or two in it. This is the first time it's had like some actual like land in it, but it's mostly just ice land, like icebergs and shit. It has more land than the first one, from what bit I've played during the beta, because it deleted my one save file that I had because it was doing a lot of revamping. So it's like, we have to delete your save file because we basically redid everything. I was like, well, I'm waiting for 1.0 because I'm not redoing any of that shit again until it's fully released.
Cool beans. Is that it? Is that all our fucking news? Can we end this
That
bitch
is-
so I can go walk my dog?
Wow, okay.
Wow, he's
yeah.
got
Let's
a
end it. Wrap it up.
to walk his dog.
Wrap this bitch up. Let's go, dude. I'm doing hand motions. You can't.
You have to
doesn't play well
also,
for
I can't end it until you say the line.
Oh. Guys. I hate all of you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Fuck you all.
We actually wrapped that up at a pretty good time.
You all suck. That wasn't a lot of news.